Dish the Nerves, the podcast where you keep calm and lead on. I am Rekha Matthew, your host for this episode. Today, I am so excited to have Jean Gamester, who is currently the second vice president of Toastmasters International. Over nearly 2 decades, she has served Toastmasters at every level, from club president all the way to the role of international director. Beyond Toastmasters, Jean is a lecturer and student experience manager at the Open University, where she teaches leadership, strategy, and to top it off, she has a doctorate in organizational change. Jean brings a unique lens to leadership, combining the power of voice, purpose, and a deep belief in change led with empathy. Today, she joins us to share how those leadership lessons learned on Toastmasters translate into everyday life. Jean, welcome to the podcast. I am so glad to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
It is actually quite amazing how you've taken so many leadership roles throughout your career. You've been a past international director and now second vice president at Toastmasters International. How do you think you would actually define high performance leadership?
That's a really interesting question because I think the way I answer this question now might be different to when I first started leading, when I first started Toastmasters. I think I would have gone straight for the performance bit and, focused on, delivering goals, making things happen. Because I guess I come from a project and program management background, so I do like to make things happen. But over time, I have found that that has extended. I think the way that we lead is really, really important because it's one thing to deliver results. It's another thing to lead well in a way that is aligned with our values. I mean, in our case, in Toastmasters, we have our own values around, integrity, behaving in an ethical way, having respect for the people around us, being of service. We're a not for profit. We're all doing this for free. So being of service to others, as well as delivering with excellence. And for me, part of what has also evolved is a sense of wanting to take care of the community and kind of nurture people as well as delivering results and making sure that we're taking accountability for the things that we've signed up to do. So yeah, there's a bit of kind of delivery focus, accountability, but also leading with values and caring for the community.
That's amazing. I think, as you said, it's not just about the outcome, but also the process of it, right? It's how you
Yeah.
lead, and it's not the outcomes of leading it. So I think that's quite amazing. And that actually quite leads to my second question that if you had to look back at your journey, starting off from your club leadership position and all the way now to being serving the international director board of Toastmasters. How do you say your leadership style has evolved over the years? Like, if you can give an example of how you used to do it then versus how you used to
Yeah.
now, how you do it now, it'd be good to
Yeah, yeah.
hear.
Well, I guess I can talk about why I joined. So the reason I joined was I kind of a bit like that change that I shared in the first question. So I'm as a change person, I'm pretty good at the Gantt charts and what needs to happen next and processes and all of that kind of thing. So your question about how my leadership style has evolved. When I first joined, I was pretty nervous about speaking in public. So I was good at the delivery part of my job and knowing what needed to be done next, but the connecting with people and inspiring or celebrating people, I wasn't so great at that. And what has happened through developing my confidence and my voice in Toastmasters is I'm much more able to connect with people and speak about the things that are important to us all, and also much more able to be myself. There's less of the double thinking, am I good enough? I mean, I may not be, but I'm not thinking about it all the time, and that was a bit of a worry back then. Whereas now I'm much more self-accepting. At the same time as wanting to improve, I'm kind of okay with discovering the ways in which I am imperfect. So
Wow.
yeah, I would say those are the things that have evolved for me.
That's amazing. And I think a huge part of being in Toastmasters is using your voice, or it is the public speaking side of things. How has public speaking, would you say, from Toastmasters especially impacted your leadership style?
Yeah. Well, what I think one of the key areas is around the focus on the audience and, being of service to the audience. When I first started speaking in Toastmasters, as many of us are, I was self-conscious. Is this good enough? Am I going too fast, too slow? Generally, the answer was too fast, by the way. What I learned was actually it's not about me, it's about how I can connect with the audience. So when I shifted my focus to how can I be of service to the audience and deliver something of value, that also plays through into my leadership approach. Another area that is important to me that I guess I have gained in Toastmasters is a love of story. The kind of feeling that the kind of permission to use creativity and stories as part of leadership to kind of imagine a future as the end of a story and kind of go through the kind of ups and downs of working life and all of life is also part of the flow of a story,
Mm.
and that can help with focusing on goals. And it can also help you go, okay, things might be a bit rough right now, but it's okay because I'm in a story and the curve's going to go up soon and it'll be great. We just have to work out how we're going to get through. So,
Yeah.
those are a few of the ways in which being a Toastmaster and speaking in Toastmasters helps me.
That's amazing. So it's more about thinking about the message or the
Mm,
audience and what it means for them, and also the story of how you're inspiring them. So that's pretty amazing. Has there been like in any such vulnerable moment in your
mm,
Toastmasters journey that has transformed you as a leader, like through all of the leadership positions that you have taken? Has there been
sure.
a turning point you would say in your life that has transformed you?
Yeah, there was a really important point where I was serving as a new trio member, a club growth director in my district. And I wanted to do a really great job. And my day job was also really full on. And my district director was also really keen that we did well. And I didn't feel comfortable saying to her, actually, the ambitions that you have, I'm not sure how I can deliver on that. So rather than speaking up, I kind of held it in. And that meant that after a while, it kind of came to a head and we had an argument. And I came away from that thinking, okay, I'm going to have to do something about this because our relationship is not going very well right now. So I flew over to Ireland where she was based and we talked. And what was interesting about that conversation was it was probably the first time that I had been really open with her and maybe with anyone about just how challenging the day job was and how difficult then it was to deliver what I wanted to do in Toastmasters. And it was the first time that she really shared what it felt like for her to be trying to, make things work and not really knowing what was going on. So, two key outcomes came out of that. One is part of her advice was to think about why was I staying in this. It was an interim role that I was doing that was very challenging and I didn't need to be there anymore. And she reminded me of that actually I could actually say the job is done and move on. So it kind of helped me move on, which was great. But also, we went from being in conflict to, 10 years later, still being really, really good friends. So she's helped me in all of the election campaigns I've been involved in.
Amazing.
So it's turned in from conflict to a very, very special relationship as well.
Yeah, I think there's so much of opportunity, and like so many people also view conflict as a place to just refrain from and not confront at
Yeah.
all. But I think there's so much of opportunity in Toastmasters to embrace that
Yeah.
conflict and learn from it and grow. So I think you just learn so much through just that experience of learning, sometimes failing, and then trying again, and then learning
Yeah.
something new. So that's quite amazing how you've expressed that. So thanks a lot. In terms of the leadership skills you said on in Toastmasters, there are so many I'm sure you would pick up. But
Yeah.
what's that one leadership skill that Toastmasters has helped you that you use almost daily?
Well, yeah, so I would say evaluation is such an amazing skill, and it's helped me go from either not sharing feedback and to holding it in, which, as you can see in the last story, which was a bit of a pattern, and but also when giving feedback, doing it in a way that's kind of nurturing and supportive and also focusing on what the good outcomes are. So that skill that we develop in delivering speech evaluations, I believe, is an absolutely critical skill in leadership. Because if we can be constructive about the things that we think can be improved and celebrate the things that are strong, then I think we have a really good opportunity to do things well. So that was always an area of fascination for me, that we could be so good at giving each other feedback in our clubs when we're delivering speeches, but sometimes we can be not so kind when we're giving each other feedback as leaders. But we have the skill, so we should just transfer it over. That's what I think. And how
Mm.
do I use it today? Well, I use it today in two ways, because in I part of my life involves leading, and sometimes challenging conversations need to be had about what's going on or how something's landed or whatever, and I'm very grateful for those skills to be able to talk about these things and still walk away as friends, intending on to do and doing better. But also, I'm a lecturer in a university, and I would probably never have done that if it hadn't been for Toastmasters, A, for the love of learning, but also because it gives me really great feedback skills. So my students think I'm brilliant at giving feedback. I mean, I'm no more brilliant than any other Toastmaster, but they think I'm brilliant. So that's very nice that I'm A, they think I'm good at it, and B, that I'm able to be of service to them with this skill that I learned in Toastmasters.
Amazing. And yeah, for the audience as well, for those who don't know much about the evaluation side of Toastmasters, it is such a key part where every member of the Toastmasters club get an opportunity to evaluate someone else, and there is a proper like learning journey you go through on how to evaluate someone, all guided by the Toastmasters International Guide. So it's such a great platform to learn more about feedback and doing it in a way that is constructive and appreciative of others. So yeah, that's an amazing one. And outside of Toastmasters, you teach strategy and leadership
Uh-huh.
at the Open University. From experience, what are some challenges that you've seen in students or, say, early career professionals
Yeah.
who are trying to step up into leadership roles?
Mhm.
And what do you think, or how do you think you wish you could change them?
Well, I can go back to my own earlier experience and think how I wish I might have changed me. So when I first came into leadership, I had picked up messages about what leadership was, and it seemed to be about telling people what to do my way. And it didn't take long for me to work out that that didn't work very well. There were people who really were not that keen on being in my team because that was all I knew. Therefore, learning how to work with people, to focus on shared goals and support people in doing things their way, and allowing for the possibility that people might do things differently and they might do it better. So, giving the space for that, I think that is something that I've learned over the years. But I really wish I could go back to the Jean who had her first leadership role, thinking, how on earth do I do this? And say, wow, not by telling them what to do, and by only allowing them to do it your way. So that, I'd say, is a key one.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. You've recently completed your doctorate in organizational change and with a focus on practitioner development,
Yeah.
agency, and voice. I'd really love to explore the last bit, which is
Yeah.
voice,
Yeah. Yeah.
because in Toastmasters, they say voice is everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's how we inspire, it's how we educate, it's how we lead.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious, like, how has Toastmasters experience shaped the way you use your voice
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
lead people and teams?
Sure. A big part of what I became interested in was noticing the taken for granted things, the norms in the world, and the kind of expectations that certainly I felt like I needed to kind of fit into. And that kind of meant that, the world wasn't necessarily seeing all of me because I was, I guess, trying to fit in with what I was expected to be like or talk about. So that made it, for example, difficult for me to say challenge how things were working or speak up to senior leaders and go, here's something that I think may be a challenge, because I had learned how to be worried about the consequences of that. So being more aware of what I'm taking for granted, noticing where I'm hesitating because I'm worried that it may not land. And then rather than just not saying it, to actually go, okay, how do I speak into this space constructively? Do I need to adapt what I'm saying? Do I need to ask questions rather than just dive in? Is this a space where actually there is an openness to talk about what might be going on? So it's helped me feel more courageous in those challenging conversations and to bring more of myself into it. So yeah, it's been a very helpful process, very thought provoking, I have to say.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how in Toastmasters is it's not about what you speak, it's also about how you speak, the tone
Yeah,
of voice you use, the pauses you take, and all of those things are so
yeah,
important when it comes to conveying a message, which I'm
yeah.
sure you've used across in all of your books. Cool. All right. So as we are coming to almost the end of the podcast, I just wanted to ask you, what advice do you have to offer to someone who has just joined Toastmasters and dreams of becoming a confident leader in their field?
Yeah. Well, I would say Toastmasters offers almost infinite possibilities of getting involved. Rekha, you've been in Toastmasters for a year and you're doing podcasts and meeting leaders. That's a great example of a way to develop those leadership skills yourself. Your VPM in your club, so all of these are amazing learning opportunities. So I would say take every opportunity you can to lead, to mentor others, to be mentored, because then you're in a space where you're practicing leadership. You're constantly getting feedback. You're constantly getting to try things out. And the beauty of Toastmasters is, it's not the day job. It's a space where, we're all trying to support each other. So it's a great place to practice and try things out and get feedback. So yeah, I would say just say yes to as many things as you can. And if you're thinking maybe you can't do it or you don't have time to do it, maybe think about, is there a way to make it happen or to adapt it to make it happen? That's what.
Cool. All right. As a last quick fire question, is there one book or a quote that you would say has shaped you as a leader and you sort of keep in mind as you go through life almost every day?
Yeah. So you can't see the whole room, but the whole room is full of books because I happen to love them very much. And so, yeah, which book to choose? The one that's on my mind is Good to Great by Jim Collins. It is such an amazing book, and I read it a long, long time ago. And it talked about different levels of leadership. It started off with a level that really about being individually effective. As an individual person, you can get stuff done. And that was level one. And when I read the book, I thought, okay, I reckon I'm probably at level one, which is unfortunate because there are 5 levels. But over the years, I feel like I've moved closer to what he calls level 5 leadership, which is a kind of leading. There's a kind of humility and purpose, that I try to bring to all of this, and that you know, requires focus. It requires a kind of self-awareness, self-acceptance, and also working in community. Actually, if you're leading, leadership is a relationship. So you to be in relationship well, that's what that level 5 leadership is all about. So yeah, I am great book.
Pretty cool. I think I've heard that book, but I've not read it myself. So that's something that I'm gonna go to my library this week itself and picking it up and having it a read. Awesome. Great. So that brings us to the close of this podcast. Jean, thank you so much for joining us today. Your journey has actually been a powerful reminder of how voice, purpose, and leadership can all come together to create an impact. Given us so much to think about, definitely for me, and I'm sure our listeners are going to go away feeling inspired to step up and lead with confidence within Toastmasters and outside. So, thank you once again, Jean, for all of your insights. And we look forward to seeing all the great things that you continue to do in your life inside and outside Toastmasters.
Thanks, Rekha, and thank you for doing this. This is a really great platform and so well prepared. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today in this podcast. We really hope to see you all in our next episode. Until then, keep calm and ditch the nerves.